Guys, it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you part 1 of what I read in May, the first 3 books that I read in May. Let's just get right into it, because you know I'm going to ramble per the usual. The first book I finished in May was Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. I actually finished this on the first day of May. I started this on the Friday before, like April 28th, and then I read a lot of it during Dewey's, even though I wasn't officially participating in Dewey's, and then I finished it on May 1st. This is the first in a series about the Waverly sisters, and the Waverly sisters are Claire and Sydney, and they have magical powers, or they're not magical, they're not called magical powers, but they have supernatural extraterrestrial powers. Claire can use food to invoke emotions and to cause people to feel certain things or to say certain things. And then Sydney has the gift of like haircut magic. That's not the right term for it, but basically, whenever she cuts somebody's hair, she makes them look extremely beautiful and brings out their joy from the inside. And then Claire and Sydney have an old house in Bascom, North Carolina that's been passed down between generations of Waverlys. And Claire always really loved the house and really loved the family history, but Sydney did not. And Sydney ran away, and then at the start of this book, she's come back with her daughter May, and they move back into the house with Claire, and it's sort of about how the sisters rebuild their relationship and how Sydney and May both learn to love being Waverlys. And then, of course, because it's a small town, there's small town drama. And then there's a new neighbor next door that Claire has a crush on, but she doesn't want to admit it. And so it's just a really cute, fun, like romantic comedy sort of book. I gave this 3 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was cute, but it wasn't like fantastic or anything. And I've read on the Goodreads that the sequel's not very good or not nearly as good as this one, so I don't know if I will read the sequel. But I've had this on my TBR since 2015, so I'm really glad to have gotten it read. I would recommend it if you're looking for a beach read, something cute, fun, and quick. It took me like the bulk of one weekend to read it. It's not hard, and it doesn't require complex thinking. It is a magical realism book. As I said, the Waverlys all have magical powers or supernatural powers of sorts, and all of the characters in this book are really cute because they're all small town characters. There's all, like I said, a small town drama. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I would recommend it if you're looking for a beach read this summer. The next book I finished in May was Gilead by Marilynne Robinson. This won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction back in 2005, and it's been on my TBR since 2015. I got this edition out of a little free library in Nashville, and then I moved back to Texas, and I never read it. So it was about time. As you can see, I tabbed a whole bunch of quotes from this book because the writing is really gorgeous. It's a one long letter. It's like the purest form of an epistolatory novel. So it's one long letter written by Reverend John Ames to his son. Reverend John Ames is about 77 years old, and his son is quite young because he had him late in life. He met a young woman late in life, and they had a child, and so it's mostly about his advice to the son, but then it's also about his life. He talks about his childhood and how he grew up, and the most of it is about the relationships between fathers and sons. He talked about the relationship between his grandfather and his father, and then his father and himself, and then himself and both his son, he's writing it to, but then also his best friend has a son who's named after him, John Ames, as well. And so he talks about how this namesake and him have a relationship due to their connection, and how that relationship has always been rather, perilous. It's not always been the greatest relationship, and so it's just really talking about the nature of relationships between humans, and there's also a lot of great, not interactions, but there's a lot of great insight into like theology and religion and the concept of doubt within faith, and how doubt can be a very important part of faith, and it's just a really interesting book. I only gave it like 3 stars though, because I felt like I missed the point of it. It just seemed rather rambling to me, even though the writing was beautiful. And then I didn't really get the point of the relationship with his namesake because you're expecting this like terrible tragedy or something like really horrible to have happened, but it's just I don't know. I didn't find it that exciting or dramatic or it's just very literary. And if you love literary fiction, this would be for you. I like literary fiction, but I just found this to be I don't know. I didn't find it particularly compelling, even though the writing was very good, as you can see by all the tabs. I would recommend this if you like literary fiction, or if you're really interested in epistolatory novels like myself. But otherwise, I don't know. Like I said, I think I might have missed the point on this. If you have particularly strong feelings about this book, feel free to leave some comments down below. I'd love to discuss this book more and see maybe if I can glean some insights that I missed and that would make this book, bump it up to a 4-star read for me. I am planning to keep this book, though, because of the tabs and all of that. So, yeah. Last book I want to mention today is Maisie Dobbs by Jacqueline Winspear. This is the first in a series, and it's a mystery novel set in 1929 in London, England, and it also has a flashback section in 1914 to 1918 in England and in France. It's set over, World War I. And Maisie Dobbs was a working class girl who starts working as a maid for a wealthy woman. And the wealthy woman catches her reading in the library one day and decides to educate her and to pay for her education. And so Maisie Dobbs is allowed to be tutored, and then she goes to Cambridge, but because the war breaks out, she becomes a nurse, and so we see her backstory. And then in 1929, we see that she's solving a case. There's a convalescent home for soldiers in the rural England, and mysterious things have been happening. People have been dying, and nobody really knows why. And Maisie is asked by her benefactor to look into this because the benefactor's son is thinking about going to stay at this retreat, this convalescent home, and the benefactor is kind of worried that something nefarious is going on, and so Maisie Dobbs is beginning to look into it. And so you simultaneously see her setting up her detective business, and then you also see her backstory, and then you also see her solving this this mystery. And so this was a really cute book. I just find it to be rather unrealistic. It just seems too perfect in a way. It just seems like she gets caught reading a book in the library, and because of that, the employer magically knows that she's going to be a genius, and she doesn't get punished for it or let go from her job or anything like that. And then you also, everything that happens, even the tragedy part, it just seems too perfect in a way. And I don't know. And then in the book, she has this tutor, Maurice, and Maurice is sort of the one who gets her into this detection business, and it just seems like she relied way too much on Maurice's insight. It's like every time she had a thought, it was like, what would Maurice do? What would Maurice say in this situation? And it was kind of like, why couldn't she just have her own thoughts? It just seemed like she was relying way too much on Maurice, and she wasn't relying too much on her own critical thinking skills, even though she was supposed to be this genius. So I don't know. I liked it, but I didn't feel particularly compelled to finish this, to start the rest of the series. I just got way too much going on my TBR, so I might pick the rest of the series up later on. But for now, I'm just gonna stick to having read the first book. So that's all I've read so far in May. I'm currently working on 2 different nonfiction books, so my next wrap-up will probably be more nonfiction based. I hope everybody's having a great day and a great reading month so far, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!